Hey, hello there. Welcome back to Gardening with Disability.
Hey, all of you disabled people out there getting ready to get back out there into your gardens for some much needed garden therapy. In this video, I'm going to show you how to prep your garden soil for planting because it is so close to being time. As you can see, I'm wearing my N95 mask to protect myself because I'll be playing in the soil. You should wear one too. Let's get started.
Prepping your garden soil can be done at any time once the soil warms up and reaches about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. The best time to start turning your soil is a few days after it rains, when the soil is still damp but not wet. Avoid any kind of tilling in wet soil, which will cause compacted soil and eventual poor plant root penetration. If possible, prep your soil a day or two before your scheduled planting date. First, I'm going to show you how to prep your soil from a standing position. Start by removing anything left behind in your garden from last year, like tomato cages and bean trellises. With a bow rake, rake all of last year's leaves, mulch, and wood chips off of the soil and out of any raised beds. It is very important to remove these things from your soil and not till them under, because as they break down and decompose, they will use the nitrogen in your soil to do so, and they may rob your plants of the nitrogen they'll need to grow big and leafy. Use the claw cultivator to start turning your soil. This tool will loosen weeds, grasses, and their roots so they can be easily pulled out of your soil and tossed out. Use this cultivator on the entire bed. Now the soil is ready for the dreadful task of pulling weeds. Make sure you pull out all of their roots as well. Use whatever hand tools you find useful, pulling stubborn roots. Continue pulling weeds, grasses, and their roots out of the entire bed, pretending that each one is a negative thought, or the head of someone or some doctor whoever told you you cannot. Use the claw cultivator to turn the soil for a second time to loosen and expose any weeds and roots that still need to be pulled. Use a hoe to further loosen the soil and pulverize any oversized clods of dirt. And rake up anything pulled out of your garden soil to be put on your compost pile or burn pile, or to be bagged for brush pickup available in your area. Now I'll show you how to prep your garden soil from a seated position. Start by removing anything left in your garden from last year. With a short rake or a hand rake, rake all of last year's leaves, mulch, and wood chips out of the soil. Use the claw cultivator to start turning the soil to loosen weeds, grasses, and their roots. Start pulling weeds using whatever hand tools that work best for you and help you pull stubborn weeds and roots out. Use a hoe to further loosen the soil and pulverize any oversized clods of dirt. Once your soil has been completely turned and weeds, grasses, and roots removed, it's time to start leveling the soil. From a seated position, a hand rake, short rake, or bow rake can be used to push and pull the soil around until level. These tools also expose clods of dirt that are sometimes just too difficult to break apart. Remove those clods from the soil, pitch them right over your shoulder. The bow rake is by far the easiest tool for leveling soil in your garden. It can be used from a sitting position, but it is better used from a standing position. Be sure to rake out any hard clods of dirt that can't easily be pulverized while you are leveling your garden soil. A hand rake will get the last little bit of good-for-nothings around the edges of your bed. When everything discussed previously is completed and you're ready to start planting, your soil should look like this. Fluffy, finely pulverized pieces of soil. But don't be discouraged if it doesn't. This image captures the 1 square foot area of soil that I was actually able to prep to optimal condition. The remaining 31 square feet of the soil in my bed looks like what you see in the rest of this image. Don't despair and don't strive for perfection. Plants are hardy and they will grow anywhere there is water, oxygen, and nutrients in that soil. FYI, if you let any fruit or vegetable drop to the ground last year that you let remain over winter, once you turn your soil this year and expose those seeds to sunlight, they will germinate. Here you can see a few cherry tomatoes I left to rot on my soil from last year. I will be pulling tomato plants from my soil in a few weeks.
There are only 2 reasons to put compost into your garden soil: when you want to and when you need to.
Adding compost to your soil helps improve the structure and health of your soil, but it is not necessary if your soil already retains moisture well, is not compacted, and has earthworms and other beneficial microbes in it. As the earthworms and microbes further break down the compost, they will release nutrients that will be readily available to your plants. 2 to 4 bags of compost that are 1 cubic foot per bag is sufficient for a 4-foot by 8-foot bed. With a rake, spread it across the surface of your soil. Mixing it into your soil with a claw cultivator is not necessary, but if you choose to do so, it can be done as you see here, where it mixes into only the top 2 to 3 inches of soil. Nutrients will leach further into the soil with each watering or rain shower. Once again, level the soil in your beds with a rake.
There are only 2 reasons to put fertilizer into your garden soil: when you want to and when you need to.
You can have your soil tested by sending a sample to your state's Agricultural Cooperative Extension's local office. Regardless of the results or the health of your soil, you can still add fertilizers. I won't discuss the different types of fertilizers here. I'll save that topic for a future video. But go ahead and add fertilizers to your soil sparingly when you want to or you feel you need to. Here you can see the unhealthiest soil I have out of 22 and a half raised beds. Last spring, there were very few weeds that needed to be removed, and when I turned the soil, I found no earthworms in it. In addition to adding lots of compost to it, I also threw every organic fertilizer I had at it before planting time. This year, when I went to prep this bed, I had to remove a lot of weeds, which is a good sign that the soil is healthier than it was last year when I had no weeds. This year, when I turned the soil, I did find lots of earthworms, but the soil health is still not great, as you see here. It's still compacted. I'll have to add more compost to this bed this year, in addition to more organic fertilizers, but I'll have to hit this bed with a tiller to pulverize it into a fluffier soil. Because this is what I want my soil to look like. If you do any kind of research regarding fertilizers, you're oftentimes going to find information telling you that most of the time, adding fertilizer is not necessary. But as you can see in these pictures, adding the right water-soluble fertilizers at the right time will encourage larger, leafier plants as well as an overabundance of vegetable production. Again, fertilizers can be added when you want to, and of course, when you need to.
Hey guys, thank you for sharing this exhaustive journey with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. And please consider subscribing to the channel so you'll receive notification of future videos when they're released. Until next time, get out there into your garden. Find what works best for you and just do that. And happy gardening.
It's okay to feel sorry for yourself. Just don't unpack and live there. Feel your feels in the moment. Anger, pain, fear, heartache, doubt, abandonment, loneliness, and regret. And set them all down. Now lace up your boots, put on your gloves, pick up your shovel, and get out there for some much needed garden therapy.